Hey traders, welcome to Optional Enterprises watch list going into the week of the 9th of September. And we're going to get started. This is going to be our first ticker symbol is ROKU. So last week we had a pretty good call on this one rising up to 155. However, I was looking for resistance there for a short back down. This one came as a surprise as markets came out with some interesting news as far as the China-USA relations. So we're looking for a short pop up to 173.16, which would be a 100% retracement of this extension right here. And then we're looking for resistance around that area for a short back down to 163.29. So that's kind of the idea with Roku. I know we had a sharp sell, pretty much an inside day, and then we had a rise up here. That's why the rise up to 173. With Roku, there's no telling. It may go higher. I don't believe so. The open interest tells another story. So let's go take a look at it. All right, traders. So let's take a look at Roku's open interest. So what I'm going to be focusing on this week, of course, will be the at the money options here. You see we have a lot of open interest focused right around this area here. We got 5,000 just on the at the monies of the 170s. And the open interest just really is concentrated around this area. We don't have a lot of open interest over here on our put side. Not a lot going on over there. You can see that. Had a little bit of trading volume on Friday, but nothing of significance there. You can see we get a lot of adding down here. I can only assume that these are ads given that the market was going up on Friday, and these are people who are holding over the weekend expecting a pop. So the lack of open interest being added up here definitely supports our thesis that Roku is going to experience a short-term pop given on Monday. But I'd still be looking for that shorts. Maybe 173 would be an interesting area to watch as far as a short-term pop. You can see we've got some great resistance areas here, maybe around 175, and then next 180s, and we're never going to see 195. I don't say never, but I don't think that's going to be happening. But we got some pretty interesting resistance zones up there that we want to be paying attention to. Also, if we just head on down to our time and sales for Friday, we see some pretty interesting activity that we need to keep in mind. We've got a nice little buy here for the September 20th on the 165 calls, 292 sold below the market. So this one I can only speculate is a buyer, which again confirms the thesis that Roku may be experiencing a short-term pop on the way up. That's kind of an expensive position to hold over the weekend. It was not part of a spread, so this was a regular transaction between a buyer and a seller. Again, let's see price action on Monday, but given the positivity of the market, of course, with the news going back and forth, China's on, China's off, whatever. I definitely see Roku making a short-term pop. So we want to keep an eye on our calls this week. Just keep watching those calls, see if we get some increased activity in the upper ends. What I mean is if we start seeing these numbers increase down here, then this may be confirming a pretty strong resistance zone, and we see lightening up down here and then maybe a little adding over here. That may be the indication that Roku is a good candidate for the short, as we believe this week. PDD, we're looking at all-time highs, but we are triggered for a reversal. So essentially we're just looking for this to come back down to 32.77, which is about $2.20, which is a great pullback. We see we've got this spinning top indecision candle here right around the top of this major trend line that we can see on the monthly chart. So I think this one's good for the pullback. Again, let's keep an eye on the open interest. Let's go take a look at it and see what we think. Alright, so let's take a look at PDD the open interest here, we've got a couple interesting areas that we want to watch. First of all, I think we've got a pretty good support level being developed here at 33, which supports my idea that a short given coming Monday down to 33 is a pretty good idea. As you see, we've got a lot of open interest focused right down here, which is giving us a strong support level below us. But we've also got some mixed ideas over here. We've got a lot of subtraction. We've got a lot of subtraction going on over on the call sides. You know, we got over 1,000 being taken away. This was on Friday on bullish action. So, you know, bullish action, but people subtracting away from their calls. That's a pretty big red flag right around here at the 34. So 34 may be a pretty key area that we want to be watching for as far as a support area. I think this is good down to 33 based on this. Another thing to keep in mind here also is going to be our trade activity on Friday. So you look closely here, you can see we've got a lot of calls being bought. A lot of calls being bought around pretty similar strikes. 37, 36 is a pretty popular area right here. So we could be looking for a short-term pop up to this area. The deltas aren't giving us a whole lot of indication. You see there's a lot of 40s, 50s, and 60s. A couple of 70s and 80s in there. So this is definitely a bullish sentiment. But again, that huge red flag, people taking away their calls on bullish activity, these lead me to believe that these may be option sellers, especially this big one right here, 900 at the 37 calls. That confirmed with our chart patterns over there. I think there was a doji. So this one definitely could be looking for some lower price action this week. Definitely keep an eye on your calls activity there. And we'll be looking at price action Monday to confirm our bearish sentiment. Alright guys, so ticker symbol ATUS. ATUS is triggered for reversal on the daily. And this one's got kind of an interesting idea here. So we're looking for a breakout above 29.57 if you can get back above it. If we can get back above the 29.57, then we may be looking for some of these areas, maybe around a 30.96. However, if that resistance does hold at 29.57 and we break below this 29, we'll be looking for that short down to 28 and another confirmation of this trend line. So let's go take a look at the open interest and see what confirms this analysis. Alright guys, so let's take a look at ticker symbol ATUS. It's got some definite key areas of open interest we want to be paying attention to. One of the main areas that we want to watch is the closest term, September 20th, with 12 days till expiration. So we can expect that something is going to happen with this within the next 2 weeks. Although this one is looking good for something to happen this week, we see a large concentration of open interest right here at these 30 calls. We also had some heavy trading there. We had about almost more than 9,000 contracts traded on 21,000 open interest. So that could be people adding or closing out positions. If it's people closing out positions, then some fallback down to a lower support area, which is not confirmed by our open interest over here. We see a lot of people just kind of scattered out. The lowest one we have here is 22 with 2,500, so we can definitely expect that it's not going to go any lower than 22, but that's about $7 or a little under 30% away from our price target, and that's just not a reasonable move to expect. So this is triggered for a reversal though, so we can expect that 30 is going to provide us a nice resistance area. But I wouldn't expect it to go any lower than the 26s. I know our price target on this one is 28, so that's what I'll be watching. I'll be watching for that Monday's activity or at the 30 calls. Also, another thing to take a quick gander at here that confirms our 29 break of resistance is going to be in our October 18th, we can see we got what appears to be a spread. We'd have to look back at the historical options data to find that out for sure. But 29 definitely seems to be a key area that we want to pay attention to as far as resistance and support. Right now it's going to be acting as our support. If it breaks that support, that's what we're looking for to go short down to 28. Another thing of interest to look at is the huge activity on calls with low deltas on Friday's price action. So you can see we had a large buy here. That was these are September 20th. They had 500 purchased when it was 35 by 40. Guy had a 33 delta though, so something purchased with that low is either a huge bet that this is going to break out, or more likely is going to break down. With low IV, I'm definitely leaning more bearish towards these, and you can see there's a whole slew of these. September 20th, we have 500 there, 481 there. All of these, most of them I would say actually have low deltas. You know, there's a few in here that were purchased with higher deltas, but calls on low deltas definitely suggest a bearish sentiment to me, so that's what I'm looking for on ATIS analysis. All right, ticker symbol WEN, Wendy's Company. All right, so we had a strong sell on Friday on some pretty large volume there. So essentially we're looking for this to come back initially to pull back to 2184. Which, you know, it's a decent pullback. It's around 50 cents, so about half of whatever delta you choose to play at. Again, that'd be 25 cents on a 50-cent delta, which isn't a horrible return. If it breaks that 2103, if it breaks 2184, then we're looking for that short down to 2103, which is the ultimate target for this one, which is a significant pullback on Wendy's. So that one may not come this week. I do see 2184 this week for sure, in my opinion. But let's go take a look at the open interest and see why we think that. Alright guys, so ticker symbol WEN. A couple of things just to focus on here. This one does not have a whole lot of trading activity on them, so definitely small positions on this one are advised for me anyway. And what's interesting here is that we had a down day Friday. So, and we've got a lot of open interest focused around these 22s and not a lot of volume traded on those Fridays. So, to me, this indicates a holder, a pretty strong holder, not wanting to get out of their positions. That confirms the bearish sentiment that I believed on Wendy's Company for the reversal. And again, we're just looking for 21 on Wendy's. So that's about $1.38 from its current position. Not a huge move, but you can see the options are not heavily. There's not a lot of premium in them, so a 21 move would be actually more than 100% return on your money, and that would be my primary area of focus for Wendy's. The 22 puts here. You get that large area of open interest. That is going to be the main focus for this trade. There's not a whole lot going on. You can see we got some pretty strong support here down on the 20s, but this is like a long time out, so that's not important. Just focus on these. Yeah, fuck that. I'll edit the rest of that out. Alright, next one. Ticker symbol TGT is our next symbol for the week. And we can see that we did not close below Thursday. So this one definitely leads you to believe some bullish sentiment. However, this one is triggered for a reversal. It has been for the past couple of weeks, and we've gotten slight reversals here or there. You can see that my first reversal was actually triggered on the 31st, and we got that nice little pullback to 106 from the closing price of 107. So you got about $2 out of there. But then we had a strong rally back up. But we've got this isn't quite a shooting star. The real body is just a little too big. That doesn't really matter though. We're looking at the 108.70 as our support area, and really we want to see a pullback down to this 50% retracement, which is around the 106s. If it breaks that support, then we're looking for 104.59. I'm not sure that that'll happen this week, especially given the market is more likely to just chop sideways than sell off. So but this week I'm definitely looking for the 106s, 106.32 area. Let's go take a look at the open interest and see why I think that. Alright guys, so let's take a look at TGT's open interest this week. Right now we're going to start on the time and sales because this is where the most interesting analysis I think could take place. If we look at the times, a lot of these put sales or put buys and sales, you can see a lot of these took place around the time that target started to come back down, and that with this large order of calls placed right around the time that it was going down believes me that the sentiment has shifted to bullish on target. So we could be definitely looking for some pullback, maybe down to 107 areas. So we want to keep an eye on our higher put activity and lower call activities. So we'll jump over to the option chain to take a better look at that. And essentially what we're looking for here is we want to see some adding up here and definitely some subtracting down over here. You can see there's not a whole lot going on these near-term options, but we want to see the open interest and volume come Monday. We want to see increased volume up here and a decreasing open interest come Tuesday over here to confirm some bullish sentiment on target. Alright, next ticker symbol is MDCO. Alright, so MDCO, we had a large block trade on Friday. About 2 million shares at 47.90. We could definitely close below that, so that very rarely does a block trade coincide with my watch list, but this one just happened to. This one was triggered for a reversal on the 5th. You see that reversal happened, and then a block trade came in, so this one is a pretty high conviction trade right now. We're looking for 46.15 to be our first pullback this week. If we can stay below that block trade, above that block trade, then we're bullish, and we're looking for a retest of this support zone right here. You see there's really no clear support and resistance, so I just kind of made a support or a resistance zone. So anything up in here may be a possible breakout if we get above this block trade right here. But if this block trade is as significant as I think it is, then 46.15 looks reasonable for the pullback. If we do decide to break the 46.15s, maybe looking at 43.73, although my conviction isn't as high for that one this week. 46.15 definitely seems more reasonable. Let's go take a look at the opening. Ticker symbol TBT is going to be our next area of interest. Bonds they've had a great rally these past months here, but with, I guess, recent news and I guess the Fed pledging to support the expansion, bonds may be losing a little bit of support as we come into September. So we're looking for a price target of 24.60 on this one, and this one's a real simple trade. And the open interest analysis is even simpler, so let's go take a look at it and see why we got 24.60 as a price target. Alright guys, so let's take a look at ticker symbol TBT, which is the 20-year bonds ETF. And we're looking at buying some of these 24 calls. See there's a huge amount of open interest focused right around there. Got around 8,733 without anything really holding it back. And if the market decides to even consolidate, pull back, stabilize, do a little distribution right now this week, then we can expect TBT to have a moderate rise. I'm looking for around 24.66 this week, so if you got that full dollar, then you're looking at around 200% return on your money. So this one wouldn't be a horrible buy. It would be a better return than buying TLT or any of the other bond ETFs. And those are just that's where you're going to focus. You see we got a lot of adding right there, 1,460. That was Friday's price action. We come down and look at our trading activity. You can see that a lot of interest in the calls. Not a whole lot of trading activity given on Friday. So those holders are holding in. So it's either going to be a solid resistance zone or a very nice area to buy some calls and let it rise up. All right, so something a little extra this week. We're going to go over a quick analysis of SPY for Monday, and that's going to include just a quick look at the chart and then some quick open interest. For those of you who follow my Instagram, you can see that I trade SPY daily, and that's kind of my bread and butter. And I'm usually not too far off the mark. So we're going to take a quick look at SPY and see what we can infer from it. So SPY is in a falling volatility environment, which means that we could be looking for some expansion back up to the mean. You can see that current implied volatility is around 15%. So we could be looking for some expansion as far as volatility, meaning some pullbacks. Don't expect it to pull back too much though. So let's take a look at for some areas of interest. Alright, so we can see that we are definitely basing right here. This is kind of an ascending triangle that we've got happening right here, with 298.83 being our upper resistance area. And that's all confirmed by our open interest. You see we had a large sell at the end of the day here. So we'd be definitely wanting to see a break above that 298.83 for any type of call. But let's go take a look at the open interest and see what it can tell us for Monday's open. Alright, this is for the guys or ladies and gentlemen who follow my Instagram. Usually, at least once a day, I'll post support and resistance for SPY based on open interest and volume. And this is kind of how I look at it for Monday. So certainly we can see that we've got some large open interest around these 301 calls, which is going to definitely provide a pretty strong resistance for us. And a pretty strong support area that we don't want to really see get broken is going to be down here around the 298s. So these 298 puts, which is also confirmed by the lack thereof of open interest over here on the calls. You can see a lot of the open interest is focused right around these areas, which is giving us about a $3 trading range right now. 298 to 301. 298 breaks, then we could be looking for some movement downwards to these lower strikes over here. So right now we're definitely looking at 298 being our support, 301 being our resistance, meaning that we could be looking for a rise up to 301 on Monday. But if it initially breaks this 298, then we could be looking for a very fast fall downwards, since there's nothing really holding it up over here and a lot of open interest down here. So that's basically how I'm looking at it for Monday. 298 support, 301 resistance. That's going to be where a lot of our activity is at the moment. Another interesting little tidbit to look at here is going to be our Friday's trading activity. And you can see we've got a lot of interest around these 301 calls. So 301 calls, 301 call, all these 301 calls. Huge orders, all with low deltas. So this could definitely imply some bearish activity given Monday. So if that 298 does break, then all these are gonna be money for whoever played them. You see, not a lot of them are part of spread orders, so these are straight buy and sell transactions, at least according to Thinkorswim. Other platforms may tell us something different, but we're looking at all these deltas. These are a lot of sells to me. You get those two there, all below 20-cent deltas, pretty far away from the money, and they expire Monday. So 301, we can definitely expect this thing not to get above 301. So that provides a pretty clear resistance area, and we're gonna have to follow price activity on Monday, and we want to see some activity around the 298 area. If it holds, then we're definitely looking for a rise back up, but if it breaks, we're looking for some shorts. So stay tuned for my post and Instagram on Monday. I appreciate you watching this watch list. Wishing you profits, and have a great week.